Joe, thanks very much for your time. Why is Thomas & Betts attractive for ABB?
Well, first of all, from an overall standpoint, from ABB, it again gives us a great position in a growing U.S. economy, and it balances our portfolio from an ABB standpoint better across the three geographic regions we've talked about before, which is Asia and Europe and then the Americas too. Secondly, when you look at our low voltage business, it's always been disadvantaged in this sense. It's been primarily a European business and a Chinese business with relatively little to no U.S. position. In the United States too, particularly in low voltage, it's not necessarily that the best product always wins there, Malcolm. It's the best distribution channels that are really important. And what Thomas & Betts has is terrific distribution channels with various products that move through those. We see some natural synergies by having a broader portfolio through those distribution channels that will help both sides of the business. And so from a geographical standpoint, I think it's favorable, and also from a product standpoint in that specific area with those distributors, I think will be very helpful too for both companies.
And what's in it for Thomas & Betts?
I think what's in it for Thomas & Betts is that we can expand just the breadth of the company overall. And so when you look at, from a Thomas & Betts standpoint, they've been very strong in the United States. They've actually struggled to reach outside of the United States. When you move into the European operations, admittedly they don't have the scale necessarily that we have, and also a very weak position in the Far East. If you superimpose that over top ABB, it's completely different. We're very strong in Europe, extremely strong in the Middle East and the Far East. And then Thomas & Betts have the strength in the United States. And so really together we make each other stronger. And that means the people within Thomas & Betts will have more opportunities and more options. Also, when you're into the low voltage business, and you look at wiring devices like Thomas & Betts has, or our control business on our end, logistics is so important, Malcolm. You're moving millions and millions of products a day. We are not great in logistics in our low voltage business here from an ABB standpoint. Thomas & Betts is terrific in logistics, and so bringing that logistics capability to our business will really help us and will help their business also, because we can take advantage of that capability much more so than they could have on their own.
Now, growth in the US remains slow, and Thomas & Betts have considerable exposure to the notoriously sluggish construction market. So why do you think ABB's offer for Thomas & Betts is a fair one?
Well, I think when you look at historical valuations of Thomas & Betts, we're at industry norms in the sense of the valuation, but when you specifically look at the marketplace, I think 30% of Thomas & Betts' business is in the construction marketplace, and a predominant amount of that is in commercial construction, which has gotten through this recession in much better shape than the residential construction market in the United States. So that's why they've been able to grow, I think, pretty significantly in a downturn, which has been helpful. Secondly, they have a really big piece in industry and utility in the United States also. And just like we've seen with Baldor, those two industries have done very well in the last 18 months as they've come out of this piece. So when you really we peel down Thomas & Betts and understand where those points of demand come from, the construction industry is actually muted in that piece, and you see much better growth in the commercial side and also the utility and the construction side.
What are the next steps now?
Well, the next steps, as we move forward here, we obviously have to close and make sure that the deal is closed and done. And then we'll put together our synergy plans as we're working together to do it now, and we'll implement that across the business. But what I want to emphasize, Malcolm, is this is an acquisition or a merger that's based on growth. And then we're going to look for those areas of synergistic growth that help both companies. And so I think it's not necessarily that ABB over benefits from this or Thomas & Betts. This is together, both companies will be stronger, and I think all the employees on both sides of the low voltage and wiring device business are going to have great opportunities for growth within ABB.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.